Beyond Bitcoin Hangouts are meant to give everyone a voice, a chance to speak with others who are passionate advocates for expanding the blockchain's use cases out into the world and beyond. Do you have a crypto community you would like to represent and hold open hangouts for? If so, you might find yourself on the path to owning a stake in Beyond Bitcoin. We are looking for people who care about people who want to bring others together, because crypto communities are people. Beyond Bitcoin is a movement of thinkers and doers in the crypto space. And if you feel you are one of them, reach out to beyondbitcoin@gmail.com for more information on how to debut your community's efforts to reach to the stars and beyond.
Welcome everyone to another Beyond Bitcoin Hangout. Today is Friday, June 16th, 2017, and we are an old school kind of community here in the crypto community, in the crypto ecosystem, where the blockchain technology and the distributed ledger technology reside. We've been here for quite some time watching as the evolution of this technology has taken hold and as people are starting to adopt it and find value in it. We were here during the times when it was very risky and very questionable and wondering what is going to happen with things like this technology. It started with Bitcoin and it moved on to other coins and other communities that had their own currency layers that they could use based on cryptographic signatures and security over a network of computers. So it's really cool stuff, but it's also stuff that the masses don't necessarily look into all the time. So the people who join up to these hangouts and have joined up to these hangouts for quite some time have been kind of on the fringe of society in a way, looking for answers and solutions to problems that other people might not even know exist. It's a pretty hardcore thing to say, but I think we have earned us being able to say that. So to all of those who are attending today to the Beyond Bitcoin Hangout, those of you who have been here from the very beginning, you know who you are. And even those who are new and finding out that these solutions exist, you found them from searching. So I thank all of you for attending these Hangouts. Now, with that said, we have tried to remain open as a Hangout platform and to give communities the ability to leverage the trust that they have in various projects, to bring projects onto the Hangouts and to have a voice in an ecosystem where it all too often seems like it's just pay to play. So what we're doing is we're building something slightly different, and the tools that these blockchains have given us have made this possible. So every week we have people who join up and sign up to the RSVP threads that we post on steemit.com under the Beyond Bitcoin tag. And this week, we have 5 of them. They're going to go in the particular order based on how much they have had in terms of upvotes. And first today is going to be Peerplays. They're going to be providing updates on their project. Next is going to be CM Steem, or Custom Miner, from Gridcoin. After that is going to be JP Henderson, who's going to be talking a little bit about WhaleShares, which is a Beyond Bitcoin initiative in the Steemit and BitShares ecosystem. Followed by Forrest Willie, who's going to be talking a little bit about Peerity and is going to be bringing a special friend on today. I'll let him open that up. And then we're going to cap it off with Virtual Growth and the Virgrow token and all the things that he's doing in the Steem ecosystem and beyond. So with that said, let's go ahead and I'll ask, is Jonathan Bahai and Crypto Prometheus, are you guys able to speak?
Sure, Fuzzy.
All right, so you guys are ready to rock and roll. Obviously, you know what to do. You've been here from the very beginning too, guys. Some of the most trusted people in the space. So I will step back and I'll let you guys go ahead and do what you do. You know the deal.
Can you hear me okay?
Beautifully. In that soundproof bunker.
You get really good sound quality when you're underground. Good day, everybody. My name is Jonathan Bahai. I am the president of the Peerplays Blockchain Standards Association. It is a nonprofit association which is dedicated to building standards for the Peerplays And today is an exciting day because as I speak, the Peerplays blockchain is live. We saw it come to life a few weeks ago, just after our last update here on Beyond Bitcoin. And following that, we also released the graphical interface for the blockchain. So that's the core Peerplays core wallet. Everybody with that is able to access and claim funds, which were recommended by the Peerplays Blockchain Standards Association as part of the genesis of the Peerplays blockchain. And they're also able to participate in voting, which is an important aspect to maintaining a delegated proof of stake blockchain, which Peerplays is built on. So with our Graphene blockchain, we have successfully seen 47 active witnesses right as of today operating within Peerplays, and we've developed quite a community around it. There is a Telegram group channel for the witnesses. Everybody has been very helpful with one another. When the blockchain was actually launching, it was amazing to see that some people didn't have the PPY tokens necessary at that time in order for them to be able to create witnesses. And other people in the community were lending them what balances they had in order for them to be able to get set up. So it was a really amazing showing of the community that's gathered around Peerplays, and obviously very exciting prospect for the culture as we go forward into bringing provable fair gaming to the world. We've also been very busy with hiring at the moment. We're in the process of hiring C++ programmers. So if you are a C++ programmer and have an interest in making some history with Peerplays, then certainly contact us. We have various ways to contact us through various channels, and Michael to review that later. We're also looking for front-end coders, which are familiar with the technologies that are typical to graphene blockchains, which are React, Redux, and also other things. So, and also in regards to Unity. If you are familiar with the Unity 3D framework, we're looking for programmers which would be able to operate with that also. So those are the basics of what's gone on over the last couple of weeks. It's been really great to see the community gathering around and everybody claiming their tokens. There's been some people who have had some trouble with, but of course, everybody has been very helpful with one another in giving them assistance wherever they can. Also, I'll be in regards to claiming tokens, Michael will also be giving a small update on that. And I believe that covers basically where we're at now. So right now, you can see from our roadmap that we have the next major release happening later in the summer. Nothing being released in the summer, primarily because, as you know, within crypto world, things kind of quiet down during this time. But that gives us an opportunity to be able to continue to develop. So with that said, I'm going to pass it on to Michael, who is going to be doing the other part of this update. And thank you very much to everybody.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Jonathan. Hey, everybody. This is Michael Maloney. I am the Director of Intelligence. I have a sort of small handful, a list of topics to go over here, so I'm going to try to not spend too much time on any single one of them. I wanted to start out and talk a little bit about balance claim. Sorry. My microphone's on the fritz. Can you guys hear me okay here?
Yep.
Okay, great. I wanted to make just a brief comment. We had our live chat open on peerplays.com. PBSA, our organization right now, is relatively small in terms of in-house. We do have a lot of contracted, coding teams, of course. We've talked about this a lot before. But as a result of that, we don't have full-time support and inquiry response staff. All that said, everyone is all hands on deck right now and doing the best that they can to keep up and to answer questions that people have. We've chosen to leave the live chat and live open, for about a week and a half here after the blockchain was launched. just in order to, it's very much our desire to see people understand what it is they're using and they can get access to the tokens per the Peerplays bulletin, which we released on the 21st of February this year. All balances have been recommended and issued, or issued as recommended, rather, in the Peerplays Genesis block. I will make just a brief observation that 100% of people who have went to claim in the CLI have been able to successfully claim. We've extensively tested the GUI and have not found any additional bugs with claiming in accordance with the instructional documents that we've provided. Now, all of that said, the truth of the matter, and I'm going to be very blunt here, and we expected this to some degree as well. This is that there's still very much a learning curve for a lot of people when it comes to understanding the nature of what it is they're doing really when they're sending and receiving crypto tokens. How the are involved in that private key management, and because of that, we've had we've seen a lot of sort of user error that's resulted in some frustration. We have one of the really amazing things is that we've seen a lot of people from the community step up and help people with it, including some additional tutorials beyond the instructions that we've put out that have been able to help people quite a bit. Anybody who's on Steam should do all those people a favor and give them an upvote for that. This is stuff that they've done just because they want to, they have the same desire that a lot of us have, which is to see people be able to, unlock their tokens and be able to use them. So we haven't had an overwhelming amount of people in that regard. Actually a little bit less than we had expected, so that's good. But there's still a handful of people out there that were just not very familiar with the crypto space. We've even had some people that have through their own misunderstanding or neglect actually lost the private keys that they were supposed to hold on to in order to claim their tokens. So I just wanted to mention all that here today, just because I wanted to let you all know that we are working on support tickets. We're working on them as fast as we can. Nothing's been sort of lost down the memory hole. We do have records of everything, and we're answering them in the order that we can get to them. So that's the first thing I wanted to mention. Give me a second. Let me get back to my list here. Okay, yeah. So the other thing I was going to mention, I wanted to just give I wanted to talk just real briefly about witness soft forking. So one of the responsibilities, I think would be a good way to describe it, of Peerplays witnesses is to keep track of what's going on when it comes to code releases. We very much feel that it is beneficial for the entire ecosystem, for any code that's released for back-end for code to be reviewed for a minimum period of 2 weeks. 2 weeks is pretty much the standard that we've set in many ways, and in the ways that we've gone about notifying people publicly of things. It's generally the cycle of how people's attention waxes and wanes, and not everyone's looking at the same place at the same time. And it's very important because PBSA is not the only organization which is able to publish and release open source code for the purposes of use with the Peerplays blockchain. And because of that, and simply for the reality that no matter well written and how well tested the code is, when you get it out into an environment with thousands of new eyeballs and new users and new participants, there's always things that happen that are not expected behavior. It's just a consequence of how software programming is. It works. It's extremely complex and doesn't always do what you tell it to do, even though you'd think it would. So all those things said, I just wanted to mention that when it comes to the software itself and understanding how to use the software. So this is the other thing that we would very much recommend, that Peerplays witnesses, the community of people who are involved in that, need to think about operating a parallel test nets. Graphene test nets. If you're running a witness node on Graphene and you've spun up a node before, it's not a huge leap to be able to operate and run a test net. You do have to understand how to construct everything in the Genesis block in order to allocate the keys where you want them to go. Generally, with a test net, there's a sort of a dungeon master, let's call him, that sort of has the majority of the keys and is able to sort of let people in and out at will in order to keep things sort of under control and manageable. But I will mention that later this summer, when we finally release publicly this back-end software code for the sports betting prediction markets, it's going to be very, very important and also beneficial for Peerplays witnesses to be able to fork this code into a test net and to test it and to use it, to be familiar with it before they decide to, or if they decide, and before they decide to fork this code into the Peerplays live blockchain. So that's only one of the reasons. Another reason, of course, is just that a test net allows everyone to do what they want with consequence. And I think that's really important with technology like this that's new to everyone, including many of the witnesses. So I just wanted to, comment real briefly on that. The final thing I'm going to say here, as far as updates goes, is that Jonathan mentioned earlier that the next major release we have will be at the end of summer with the bookie. That's not entirely accurate. And this is just sort of a teaser because I can't give you specific information. We don't like to give you a milestone until we're relatively certain that we can meet specific deadlines. So I don't have any deadlines, and I'm not going to go through the exact features, but I will tell you that we have a lineup of additional core wallet features which will be implemented, most of which are already implemented on the back end and are simply need to be, and actually most of which already have, we already have API access via Redux, rather. So we're most of the way there to implementing a lot of these things. Some of them are actually fully functional, and we just haven't released them yet. So we do have quite a software repository that we've been building up over the last year, and it's very, very exciting to know that we've got these huge products that are we're putting the finishing touches on and moving forward with, and that we're going to be able to sort of airdrop into the ecosystem in the coming months. So those are my updates. I'm going to switch back here, and I may have missed some questions, but if anybody has any questions, feel free to speak up, or I'll see if I can find some here. Okay, Tom is asking for a tutorial on how to start a testnet, creation of Genesis blocks, starting the first node. There's okay, so here's something that a lot of you guys will be familiar with, but I'm just going to say it out loud because it's worth mentioning. Graphene is one of the least complex code bases that a lot of people have ever seen. It's a blessing that it exists. It's a blessing that the people who created it decided to MIT license it, but it is notoriously lacking in documentation. Now, all of that said, Fabian Zirach, you guys know him has done an incredible job putting stuff together over the last year and a half, and many of that is readily available. I actually, for a totally different purpose, to answer your question, Tom, we actually just consolidated a bunch of documentation to give to someone who's going to be working with us, and I think I might be able to pull some of that together and post it up on Telegram. So let me look into that. Give me I'll put it on my list to do this weekend, and if I don't do it, maybe ping me, Tom, and remind me. So yeah, but there is a lot of documentation out there. It's just kind of scattered, and really at the very low level, unfortunately, is where a lot of the documentation is missing. It was a few months, I think, of core coding where nobody was really looking back but everyone that was participating in it was extremely skilled and apt at putting together what they did. So we kind of joke that it's, again, one of the best kept secrets in the crypto space, and part of the reason for that is simply that nobody wants to bother figuring out how it works because of the lack of documentation. So, but anyway, nevertheless, there are lots of people out there who have done this. Lots of people in the community. This is again, I can't emphasize enough. One of the main reasons that we have share dropped onto BTS. We wanted to give everyone in the BTS community an opportunity to be involved in this project because there's so many people in the BitShares community who are familiar with the core code base that we're using, and these guys can. A lot of them have just over the last few years been really generous with their time and with their help with these types of things. So there are, I know, sort of personally from keeping track of people, that there are a handful of Peerplays witnesses now that I believe are more than capable of running test nets as well. So I would just suggest, getting together with them. In general, we're very much focused on, the research and development and publication of this open source code. The PBSA itself does not run any witness nodes, and we're not directly involved with witnesses or paying witnesses for anything. And so, in that regard, I can only say, get with other witnesses, fellow witnesses, to figure that out.
I would like to, if you don't mind, I would like to ask just one quick question. For me, it wasn't too big of an issue because whenever I went to claim my Peerplays, but for anybody who might be listening to this and they're like, oh, I haven't claimed my Peerplays yet, haven't looked into it yet. But whenever I went to do it, there are 3 different potential keys that you can post in there, right? If you stored all of them, which you should have. And I found I have something called Key Scrambler, so it doesn't matter if I put all that information in. But I found that it was actually the private key that you put in, right? And I put in all 3 of them, trying to test them. Now, if I don't have Key Scrambler or something like that, just something that maybe not a whole lot of people know, and I'm typing this in, literally if I have a key logger on my system, it's getting all of that information, right? So I was just kind of curious, have you guys thought about maybe just adding if you guys could think about just adding use this key? Because a lot of people, for instance, just last week in Steam, something came up where a lot of people were found to be accidentally putting their keys in memos and stuff like that. So just these little things, like you said, could be a huge difference for a newbie.
Yeah, here's the thing, is that this really is an art as much as is a science when it comes to attempting to give people all the information you think they may need to understand what it is they're doing. And if you guys take a look at the most recent document we put out, I think it's 9 or 10 pages worth of just step-by-step instructions delineated out for 5 or 6 different particular use cases that including all of the individual wallets people may have sent from, and the truth is, it's not that simple. It's not just put in this key. Unless you're sitting next to them and you can backtrack. Of course, people want to find their keys, and interacting with them personally, we've been able to help people walk through and solve what it is that the issue was. We've had a lot of success with that, and it's because we've sort of amassed this pile of documentation where it's like, oh, we've seen this before. Let's keep this, and let's just pass this to the next person, and maybe that's the issue they're having. So that's why I mentioned that people are putting up their own new tutorials that they've created on Steam, and that's really awesome that people are doing that. I will mention something it triggered this in my mind when you said this, Fuzzy. There is one particular, and maybe I'll just explain this to kind of outline how nuanced all of this is. There's one particular issue where if you're importing or if you're signing to access your BitShares share drop balance, or a balance that was share dropped onto a Peerplays UIA token that you held on the BitShares exchange when that was closed down in December. Either one of those, your balances in the Genesis block were created as account objects as opposed to balance objects. The reason for that was because there is a hierarchical key permission system or permissions structure in Graphene and in BitShares that would be problematic if you had multi-sig set up on BitShares and you tried to access a particular balance. So the solution to that was to create an actual account in the Genesis block of Peerplays. So this is why if you had a BitShares balance, your account is now called BTS dash and then whatever your account name was. So we didn't want to, monopolize the namespace on Peerplays by just allowing you to have, sort of the same account name. So we added that BTS prefix in front of everything. But getting back to what I was talking about, the nuance in all of this, when you have there's three keys on BitShares that you would have: an owner key, an active key, and a memo key, right? So at the beginning, when you first open out, all three of those keys are the same thing. They're automatic. And, I think 95 out of 100 people never change any of those. They just leave them the way they are. However, some people change them. So this came into play when people were claiming, because they'd claim with their active key, or maybe they'd claim with their owner key. And while they were able to still claim with both keys, the way that the Peerplays wallet enables voting is only through the active key, which means that only through the owner key, which means people were claiming with their active key. Well, they didn't actually have the owner key imported, so they couldn't vote. So, it's just one thing after another when it comes to sort of the nuances of how everything's layered together. Now, we just performed what might be called sort of a very surgical operation in that the transference of this sort of ownership and value from one place to an entirely new blockchain. This is something that has been done many times before. You see the exact same sort of results after each of them, which is 90% of people, 95% of people, and the other 5% is fused and has to be walked through, and then you still maybe have 1 or 2% that never figure it out, or they lost their keys or anything like that. So we were very, very careful when we set this up to be very upfront and clear about the nature of what people were getting into. We have bold-faced warnings that were the very first thing you saw when you went to the crowdfund site. You could not cast your eyes down the page without seeing the first I believe the first two words were "do not send to this address" unless if you are sending from an exchange or from a hardware wallet, and we've fielded a half a dozen people who have said, "Hey, I sent from Coinbase, I sent from Trezor," and there's not much we can do about that. So in any case, I guess that was a long-winded way of answering your question, Fuzzy, but it really is
it was less actually a question. I really wanted to bring it up for newbies too. Just because for us, like whenever I went to claim my balance, it was actually pretty dang simple, right? Because I followed the steps whenever I was sending the tokens in. I made sure I didn't let emotion get in the way. You have to do this. This is something that quite literally, like a lot of people in this space don't necessarily really, I think, appreciate until they lose money, and then they're forced to later appreciate it, right? So it's just something, more a matter that a lot of people who are newbies, Key Scrambler is a great opportunity to have something like that. Make sure that you have all this stuff and read and pay attention to what's going on this stuff. But like you said, Crypto, I mean, there's a lot to cover. This is not just like a Bitcoin wallet. You get it and you keep a key and that's it. This is advanced stuff. And there's a reason why these things are being, people are foaming at the mouth these days over these types of products. But with that said, because of all of this complexity in some ways for new users, the best thing to me, in my mind, would be to be part of that community, right? So you guys have places where you can essentially join up, be part of the community, and even ask in real time if you're having problems or you don't understand some of the documentation because you're a newbie and you don't understand what this word even is. How do they get in touch with you guys and be part of that community to get the help?
Well, I'll tell you what. Just to dovetail what you said, and then I'll wrap it up here. If you go back to, I'm going to, off the top of my head, I think it's page 11 of the Peerplays bulletin that we released last February. You can see the projected use of funds for the PBSA, the funds that we raised in this crowdfund, and you'll notice if you take a look at that we haven't allocated a single dime towards anything called marketing or promotion. Our approach to the space is one of education and outreach to the extent that we are, promoting awareness of this technology, providing educational materials for people to use as a springboard, first to understand what it is they're using, and second, hopefully as a springboard for their own ideas and their own, innovations. So, because of that, it very much is a community-driven effort, and we're incredibly lucky to have so many people that, there's a Peerplays Help Telegram channel right now that was not, started or opened by anyone from PBSA. It was a community-driven effort, and now there's, dozens of people a day that are coming on there and finding help and getting their questions answered and helping them through it. So I would suggest checking that out, the Peerplays Help channel, as well as the main Peerplays channel in Telegram. Of course, our website is peerplays.com. Peerplays.com/news is all the sort of official updates that are coming out of PBSA, as well as video tutorials and things like that we've been producing and we're going to continue to produce. And let's see. Steam, of course, add Peerplays on Steam. We put everything there too. So those are the main channels that everyone's sort of congregating around right now. Of course, we have, peripheral channels that people come and go on, Facebook. For some reason, our Reddit has never really picked up, but, I'm probably missing some. This isn't my job, so I don't know.
No,
but,
the lion's share of the help that I've seen is going through Telegram and things like that. Seems like it's one of the most active ways. But there's obviously, you have the the Peerplays.chat service as well. But there are ways of getting a hold of you and reaching out through one. You're going to have a portal to essentially get to all of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely right. And again, I just want to mention again, and this is not just for my own sake, but for everyone who's working as part of our organization, is that we do have limited resources and limited time, and we are all working as hard as we can to help answer your questions and to help, but please do not take offense or feel like we're, not caring or neglecting you if we don't get back to you even within a few days or a week, because, we've just got a ton of things that are happening right now. As Jonathan mentioned, we are hiring more people. So we've got all that going on, and just a ton of other stuff. I truthfully, I wish I could share all the little details with you guys, because, it would be a lot of fun, but we're kind of out of time here now. So
yes, it tends to go over every time for every project, because every project can be an hour plus on its own.
Okay. One more thing. T-Bone has mentioned something that is
sure.
Yeah, so this is just a sort of minor issue that I think we're going to work on getting resolved. It has to do with he's just asking how CoinMarketCap is reporting the supply of PPY. We're working on that. I think that it would be helpful for anyone else who has some visibility on that to comment on it. CoinMarketCap, actually, the guys over there, believe it or not, they're very friendly and easy to work with. They want to understand and to get everyone's coin represented in the correct way. So, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Hopefully we'll see that fixed in a few days. So,
well, thank you very much for joining up. As always, I want to remind everybody that these Hangouts started out because it's difficult for people to necessarily travel on a regular basis to meetups, to meet people who are interested in this technology that, let's face it, not everybody even understands what money is and what value represents in this world. So there's a lot of difficulty when teaching people and bringing people to the level of understanding that is needed. And a lot of them roll their eyes in the back of their heads. And, if you confront those people and you're trying to change the world with this technology, it's not necessarily the most productive. So meeting up with people who are interested in these things and solving problems and working together is really the way to go. And that's why we created these, because not everybody has the money or the time to necessarily travel. And we can do these hangouts in a decentralized fashion and still put together and work on improving our ecosystem. So I appreciate everybody who joins up to not only present their projects, but answer community questions and build trust in this ecosystem where we like to say a lot of the time that there's no need for middlemen, trusted middlemen and such, but as long as humans are in the equation, which I personally hope that they are always in the equation, trust will be a factor, and it will be as valuable or more valuable than one's weight in gold. So with that said, I want to just say that, and thank you very much for joining up. For those people who are presenting their projects, support them in whatever way you can, because you do have value. Now, with that said, CM Steam, aka Custom Miner, joining up to give some updates on the Gridcoin ecosystem, which is an amazing platform that I am so glad that we get updates from them on a weekly basis, because I think in the future people are going to see Gridcoin become noticed and very valuable as well.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me all right? Yeah.
Of course.
Excellent. So I'm Custom Miner, representing the Gridcoin community today. So what is Gridcoin? Gridcoin is a cryptocurrency which securely rewards BOINC computation on top of proof of stake. So what's BOINC? BOINC is an open source volunteer distributed computing platform which utilizes the spare resources on approximately 500,000 computers to attempt to cure diseases, map the Milky Way, search for extraterrestrial life, and virtually any other kind of distributable computation. So anyone who needs a serious amount of distributed computing power, say like 100,000 CPUs, they can create a BOINC project to create a distributed cloud service of their own desire using commercial off-the-shelf software. When you create a BOINC project, you have full control over the verification of returned work prior to rewarding them BOINC credit. So what's the easiest way to set up a BOINC project if you're interested? The easiest way is using the BOINC server Docker container created by Marius from the Cosmology at Home BOINC project. So Docker, what is Docker? It's a software container platform. So these containers are isolated computation environments without the operating system bloat. So think of it like a virtual machine without having to install the operating system on it. So you're just focused on the libraries and the software that you want to distribute. So yeah, check out the Docker hub there's 100,000 different containers people have built. If you think of it, it probably already exists and you can easily distribute it. So, the Gridcoin network rewards BOINC project volunteers on behalf of each whitelisted BOINC project, as opposed to the BOINC project owner having to pay for computation upfront, like our competitors would have you do. So, our competitors being, Golem, Sonum, and IEX, these decentralized computation markets. So the initial cost of creating a BOINC project is minimal. So the majority of the work is done. The BOINC platform is established. It's been here for over, a decade, close to 2 decades at this point. Whereas with Golem, you're going to have to invest in a significant amount of development effort, trying to get your custom work unit integrated into Golem. It's going to be expensive, and you got to pay up front for it. And you don't have the control over the verification of your returned work prior to rewarding them, credit. So that's just a brief intro to the concepts of Gridcoin, Docker, BOINC. So I'll be covering the following topics in my talk. I'll be talking about trading, some community stuff, development, and shoutouts to high quality Steemit posts. So with regards to trading, this week, Gridcoin hit a new all-time high of 12 cents per Gridcoin with a market cap of $51.7 million. So that's up from $35 million last week. The current market cap is approximately $32 million and 8.3 cents. So trading between 2,900 and 3,600 Satoshis last 5 days. So, that huge surge was pretty good. If anyone managed to sell at the peak, good on you. And it seems to, be holding stable between 2,900 and 3,600 sats. I know that might not be stable to many other people, but in the crypto scene, that's all right, So, sorry, what was that?
I said that is fair enough.
Yeah. So Gridcoin is now currently ranked 16th on CoinGecko.com. So that's up from being 25th the last time I spoke on Friday. So we've gone up 7 places, which is really cool. Just in 1 week, We've also seen a large increase in the GRC Twitter tag, the activity on Twitter, with some very positive projections coming from well-known Twitter, users that focus on trading. So I've posted, some of the links to these tweets on the RSVP post. You can follow them and see what they're predicting. It's pretty cool. With regards to the community, so with the large surge in the market cap on the 11th of June, we observed a noticeable increase in our user activity on, all platforms, Reddit, Steemit, Telegram, and IRC. So it's really good to see Gridcoin getting the attention it deserves. Hundreds of new users joining and talking about Gridcoin and potentials of BOINC. It's really cool. We have continued holding our Gridcoin community hangouts on a fortnightly basis. We just held our 32nd hangout on, I think it was the 11th or the 10th. Yeah, the 10th of June, the last Saturday. We're holding, it was another week before. Anyways, we're holding their next hangout on the 33rd hangout on the 17th of June, Saturday at 9 p.m. British Summer Time. Compare your own time zone. Everyone's welcome to join. They last between an hour and 3 hours. They're kind of fun. We hold them on Saturday nights. We have a total of 115 Gridcoin community tasks. Some tasks include bounties, such as improving the neural network mechanism for 200,000 Gridcoin. It's about $20,000 at the moment, so there's a couple of users actively working on that, which is pretty cool. Some of the tasks are very simple, tweet this, email this person. Some are quite difficult, program this, whatever. So yeah, helping out with these tasks earns you major kudos in the community. And yeah,
I hate to interrupt you, but I normally like to let you keep going, but this is something I think that is kind of important for people who might be interested. If you can let them know kind of how the process of that goes. If you're going to do these tasks to earn the tokens, how does one do this? What's the process, if you don't mind, real quick?
Well, currently, a few of these tasks have gotten user donations towards their development. So it's kind of like, when someone comes and says, yeah, I'll do it, and they do the task, we'll basically just pay them individually. I think I've given 20,000 or 50,000 Gridcoin towards it. So, on my honor, I will pay out this amount of Gridcoin, Some other tasks of escrow,
So this is on GitHub. You guys have an actual link where people can follow to within your post on the actual RSVP thread. They can take it to the Gridcoin tasks, the link that you have that's up that will actually take them to the GitHub. So it seems like they're going to need a GitHub account, and that they would just go there and respond maybe to prove that they've accomplished something.
Yes, definitely.
And then I'm assuming somebody will contact them. Are you doing this, or is there somebody else who sends them out? Who should they be looking for? Or is it just a community kind of endeavor, the person who posts it?
There's a community endeavor. It's kind of ad hoc. There isn't an official process in place. This is kind of like we need a few of these features. Some people have donated Gridcoin towards the effort, and we're looking for people to actively work on these. And some people have already come forwards and have started developing solutions.
And like you said, some of these can be very, very little tasks that they just think that somebody thinks that it's important that they do it, and they manage it. I really think it's cool, and I appreciate you taking the time to answer some of these questions, because it's something worth highlighting for people who are interested in crypto but don't necessarily want to spend money.
Yeah, a lot of these tasks were created because we were holding the Hangouts, and a lot of our ideas are being lost to the backlog of audio that we've already participated in. So, as we're partially transcribing them, we're throwing up the past ideas we had so that we don't lose track of them. Think of the potential tasks that we could have created for like bit shares and from past Hangouts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's very beneficial. So yeah, moving on to the next topic, we've got some Telegram group chat updates. So the main Telegram group for Gridcoin is now got 193 members. That's up 48 in a single week. So that's pretty good. It shows there's quite a lot of interest. We've also got another few channels. We've got the Gridcoin marketing, for just focusing on marketing of Gridcoin. We've got an IRC bridge, so you can talk to over 100 users in IRC from Telegram, and we've got a Gridcoin development group, so focusing on development, whereas the main channel is getting quite busy with helping new users and stuff. And there's also a team neutral BOINC Telegram group we've created to hopefully recruit. The aim is hopefully making it the main troll box for whole of BOINC. If we can recruit even 10% of the BOINC network into that Telegram group, then that'll be 50,000 users, which is one of the biggest groups possibly, so that could be interesting in the future. With regards to development, we've got we released a new version last week, and there are several new versions on the way. So we've got developers working on new features such as the removal of the mandatory team requirement within the Gridcoin network. So this isn't too far off. Keep an eye on this. Initially, we thought that we would have to, improve the neural network, which is basically a reward mechanism before we could do this. But some users have figured out that we wouldn't actually be putting that much more strain on BOINC servers than we currently are. So I think doing this sooner rather than later is good. Opening the doors to hundreds of thousands of new users, I think will be very beneficial for our proof of stake cryptocurrency, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, or Hangouts even. Improvements to the neural network, so it's the reward mechanism, effectively porting it to become cross-farm compatible. This is very important. That way more users are securing the integrity of the daily super block that tracks all BOINC statistics for the reward mechanism effectively. We've also got improvements coming to the staking mechanisms, the voting and security, just general fixes everywhere. We've got improved translations, like we just released, fully translated Russian versions, and more is on the way. So we're looking for some volunteers there if you're interested. We've also got improvements to there's large changes coming, and removal of unnecessary features. So there's a little bit of bloat in the client that when that's gone, it'll be more stable, and users won't click, random features and be like, why is this in the client? So that's cool. I'm looking forward to that. With regards to a quick shout out to some high quality Steemit posts this week. So SC Steemit, which is Startail, who is the creator of the Gridcoin stats, like official BOINC Gridcoin block explorer effectively. He created a post where he lays out his intent to become a Steemit witness. So, he's provided many servers for the Gridcoin block explorer. They've been very reliable. I endorse his witness application. I encourage you to vote for him. So we've got a couple posts by Johnny C. So he's a new user to Steemit from the Gridcoin community. He created a post saying, let your computer dream about science while you sleep and earn cryptocurrency for doing so. Effectively, talking about how you've got, computers gathering dust, and, it could be crunching whilst, overnight constantly and slowly earning you some Gridcoin, to which, it may be worth something someday. You never know that even if you've got a low power computer, it's a bit of a lottery whether or not that work unit you solve might be the key to solving, potentially cancer or AIDS or finding an asteroid plummeting towards Earth, It's pretty exciting if that was to occur.
Let's hope that the asteroid plummeting to Earth is not found, but it's a silver lining.
Well, if we save Earth by pushing it out of the way, and we name the asteroid after like Gridcoin or something, then it's sure to be good for Gridcoin.
And Aerosmith makes a song about it. Yeah, that's exactly what would happen.
Who's Bruce Willis going to play?
Obviously you.
Excellent.
Oh, fair enough. does anybody have any questions or comments that they'd like to bring up at this time? Gridcoin is still it's one of my favorites, man. It's always been one of my favorites, and I will say before I open it up for everybody, I have tokens now in the BitShares ecosystem that I can finally use to pay people, and you are one of the people who I want to give a bunch of them to. So thank you for reaching out to me on Telegram. I will get some tokens to you because I can now start paying people who are community builders.
Cool.
But anyway, does anybody have any questions, comments that they would like to bring up? Because obviously I can talk about finding asteroids and aliens all day.
Well, I've got another couple of shout outs and then I'll quickly ask some questions. So another post by Johnny C was pointing out impressive accomplishments and the incredible potential of BOINC. Dutch posted, he's a new user again, Dutch, he posted about Gridcoin being the cryptocurrency with the power to drive modern science, talking about how he's a scientist, he needs talking about the research he does, and that if he wanted to extrapolate the research to, potentially expanding from 2D slices of proteins or something to 3D, it requires a serious amount of computing power, millions of pounds worth of, crunching ability, and using BOINC as a potential route for him to do his research for free, which is really excellent. A lot of people around the world are waiting years to potentially get some funding for computation, whereas they could be doing it on a very minimal budget through volunteer computing. And he also posted another post about cryptocurrency, the wasted potential of the hash, talking about the downsides of proof of work and how the electricity could be used to utilized for better purposes with BOINC and stuff like that. So that's the end of the shoutouts. Does anyone have any questions regarding BOINC, Gridcoin, Docker, any of this?
Do you have any updates on the team requirement and what's going on with that real quick?
Yeah, I mentioned that in the development section. So we initially thought that would be, removing it would place a large strain on the BOINC servers. However, with some further analysis from some of our developers, it appears it wouldn't. We could probably remove the requirement and scale up later. We're actively working on the scaling up, but we could just make the change now. And so, within the next month or two, expect the team requirement to be removed. I will be. When it does happen, I will be screaming it on this Hangout for sure.
Sure.
So you will be notified about that. But
that's a good point.
Yeah, definitely.
Very good point. You are pretty active about this, and this is going to be this has been kind of one of the centerpieces to what we've talked about with Gridcoin for quite some time, right? Once that that's the bottleneck, and. Well, I'm interested to see what happens, that's all. So thank you very much for re-answering, and I don't know how I missed that. I was going through the entire thing with you. But with that said, does anybody else have any questions or comments? Does anybody here hold Gridcoin?
I do.
I do. I'll tell you this, man. I've seen the content on Gridcoin on Steemit because I do manual curation. I don't use a bot. And I laugh my butt off at so many of them. It's so easy to create content, I think, using Gridcoin because it has so many applications that you could pretty much just, my God, man, the possibilities are endless, and people are creating some of the best content, memes, articles on this stuff. And it's just nice to see it shining, man, really. So thank you for all you're doing.
Thanks. Yeah, we've been trying to encourage the Gridcoin community to use Steemit for the last year or so, and I think it's really driving up. A few of us have got a good chunk of voting power. I know I'm able to vote with 40 cents for every vote now, which is, and with the hard fork coming up, that might be even higher. Yeah. And
G Chicken does have a question. He says, "What is the best wallet to hold my GRC? Is it a full wallet?"
Yeah, we've got our standalone Gridcoin client that runs, on your computer, Linux, Windows, etc. We've also got support on BitShares. So if you're comfortable storing, your tokens as open ledger tokens, then you can store your GRC as open.grc on whatever BitShares wallet you use. We've also got Coinomi support, which is an Android multi-wallet, and I think that's also going to be supported on a standalone Windows application soon. So there are multiple options. Yeah.
And he
Any other
said,
questions?
yeah, he says here, do I need to download the blockchain?
Yeah, I mean, like you could send coins to your wallet before it's fully synced, and you won't see the coins until you are fully synced. But you can use like a snapshot to speed up the process. It'll take you to like 95% synced. But we're talking about like a gig, maybe 2 max for the blockchain. It's not hundreds of gigs like Bitcoin, you know.
And thank you very much. And of course, it inherits the energy efficiency of proof of stake, which was something that in the history of cryptocurrency, we've actually had Peercoin's developer on here who created proof of stake. And I always felt like that was one of the beginning of the gamification of the blockchain and the merging of like a gamified world and reality, and having that economic layer that our generation, I think, is ready for. So it's really cool stuff. I appreciate you joining up as always. You guys always come on and you have the absolute best RSVP threads. You go through everything that you're going to talk about. I urge everybody to consider looking at how CM's team does this stuff and posting it that way. Even if it's just a template that you have, and you work hard on the template and then you start putting other stuff in there. It's really helpful for people. Now, with that said, is there any way that they can reach out to you if they want to reach out to you directly?
Yeah, join. Probably the easiest way is Telegram. Join the Telegram group. I'm on there. You can message me directly to my phone. Effectively, we've got a large IRC presence. We've got our own CryptoCoin Talk forum, etc. So yeah, you can easily reach out to all of us. Thanks for having me again this week, everyone. I'll see you again next week. Cheers.
Well, real quick, I just wanted the address of the Telegram because just so people can type it in if they need to get to it.
Oh, it's t.me/gridcoin. So if you go into my RSVP post, I've got like 5 links for Telegram groups related to Gridcoin and Boink if you're interested.
And you have other links in there too, because you guys are on a lot of different social media. So good job, man. Thank you very much. And we will talk to you probably, whenever you sign up next. Maybe it'll be next week, maybe it won't, but we look forward to that day.
Yeah.
With that said, I'm just going to remind everybody here to consider supporting, re-steaming, sharing the content from these Hangouts and the individuals who join to speak, because they are existing in a space where they don't have to answer questions in this format. They don't have to be here live and put themselves on the spot to provide updates on projects and be really in the public eye. To have the courage to kind of let that spotlight shine on you does mean something. So if you find something that is a project that consistently joins up and really makes you have a lot of trust in what they're doing, consider how you can benefit the ecosystem. One awesome thing about blockchains is they help to quantify all those things, those little inputs that we don't necessarily always see and have an easy means of quantifying. In a decentralized system, that's absolutely 100% important. So find that value proposition that you yourself bring, and don't be afraid to bring it. Now, with that said, we're going to be moving on to Forrest Willie. He's going to be bringing up some cool stuff with Peerity, and he also has a friend who he's bringing on today. Forrest Willie, are you there?
Check.
All right, man. You're sounding good. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to ask you, I know other people have been on here, you've been on here and given this information before, but if you could real quick just go over what Peerity is for those who might not have heard or might like to have, a quick spin up on it again. If you could let me know a little bit more about it and then go into what you have on your agenda for the day.
Sure. So, well, first off, Peerity is a social activity network, and we are basically community building tools to help people build community and then become their own blockchain. And we reward human interaction in like the setting of like a meetup, or hopefully in the setting of a classroom. And we also reward content creation similar to Steam. So we kind of bridge the gap between Steam and Meetup. Yeah, so I was going to bring a guest on today because I met him at the Berlin Blockchain Expo, and he has some open source code that he wants us to use for governance of our communities. And so we've been looking into seeing how and if we can make that possible. I wanted to have him on and talk today, and he has not responded to me as of yet. So I told him to get a hold of me an hour ago. But basically what his project is it's called Diog, D-I-O-G, and he has a fully functioning blockchain-based political party in the Netherlands. So you vote for a parliament member, and that parliament member has essentially no say in anything. He will always vote for whatever the blockchain has decided on each vote and what should be voted on. So I wanted to have him on to talk about that today, and then talk about how we can use that for Peerity. But we're going to possibly use that for governing our own communities on Peerity. And it's a shame that he's not here because I really wanted to have him talk. But he may show up. He may show up later for the after party, or I'm in a different place, so time zone. Maybe we got some sort of mix up there, but I thought we were on point.
It happens. There was an old Army vet who told me one time when I ran into his truck on my mom's riding lawnmower. Shit happens, so expect it. Don't worry about it. But I will say that one cool thing about this, and it's one thing that we've always prided ourselves in the BitShares community, was the idea of governance. And most of these chains, what is the truth about these chains is that the people who are the miners in general are in control of it, and you are just a holder. You're not necessarily really a citizen, right? You're a holder of this companies or of these tokens, and if you don't like what a decision is, you just sell the coin. And to me, I've always thought to myself, there always has to be some. Why do you want that to be the first option for a person? There always has to be other options for people to have a voice and have a say in the network and how it's going to grow and evolve. And if you don't have that, then you don't have citizens. You have essentially serfs who are afraid to sell your token if it's worth a lot, because they disagree with something. It's to mix greed with that stuff. It makes it a little bit harder. So a layer of governance really does go beyond Bitcoin, right? The blockchain as a system for governance is extremely important, right? I've often talked to people, like whenever they're talking about how politicians are so corrupt. I often say, yeah, we can talk about that, or we can talk about how we make them irrelevant. Right? Because now we can do that. Now we can make it like what you said. If the people vote on this issue, then the vote is that, and it's all on the blockchain. It's all directly there and seen, and it's a very important thing to have, right? There are obviously issues that come along with it, like unique identities and ensuring that. But if you can do all those things, voting on a blockchain for elections and for bills to be passed. I mean, really, do you need a parliament member if you can have a proxy who's a person that you trust, who very much reflects your philosophies on life, and also is an expert in something you aren't? Maybe I have a doctor friend who's like that, and he'll be the one who decides what's going on as far as laws and healthcare for me, until I find, and I can always go and double check and make sure he's doing everything as I would do it, or dang close. And you have transparency, accountability on a level that we've never had before, right? Well, we've got our own voting stuff too, but blockchain in general, having this feature is a heck of a thing.
Yeah, it is, and I don't think that you hit right now, his project is working with the current system, and that's why Parliament members are involved. But ultimately,
Yeah, of course.
The goal is to eliminate humans.
Yeah, you don't just walk in and say, "Hey, you are now irrelevant."
And all you guys are irrelevant too.
And by the way, that paycheck, don't expect it after I'm done. You don't get adoption that way, probably.
Yeah, so it was just one of the really exciting things that blew my mind when I got into blockchains, is that we can have the idea that we can even have that and eliminate those things. And so when I met this guy, I was very happy to see that he was working on something that I've been wanting to see come out, and I just keep seeing more and more of that everywhere I look. It's a beautiful thing.
Yes, it is, man. I will not disagree with you at all on that. It's very important to think about going beyond Bitcoin. And one of the use cases that I've always loved, and I've always since the very early days when we had BitShares DNS and BitShares Vote and BitShares Muse and BitShares Play. We had all those different things, and BitShares Follow My Vote was my favorite, along with DNS. I thought both of them were extremely important, but Follow My Vote was something that really made me fall in love with the idea, right? And of course, they had a similar story to what your friend has had here. And they went out to a competition for new technologies that would help voting. And the people out there, of course, they won, but the people out there said, for it to work, though, we essentially need to get rid of the value of the blockchain to monitor it, right? Like, we need privacy, and we need it to spit out paper ballots, so we can read it there. And like, I will never forget the way that they kind of set it up was, if we were ever to adopt you, you would no longer be a blockchain that provides accountability. You know what I mean? So it's a struggle whenever you're trying to get the old paradigm to accept the new. But that's a definite use case. It's a powerful use case, and it's a new one.
Yes, it is. So this guy is hitting me up right now, so I'm trying to figure out how to get him into Mumble, but maybe I'll have him around for the after party.
Yeah, it's okay. I would urge you to just let him know to consider joining up next time. He can RSVP. The RSVP post is up. I'm going to start doing it the night before, so you guys can re-steam it and stuff for me. Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying all good.
Cool. Now, does anybody ever have any thoughts on blockchain governance or on the history of what we've been doing in the Beyond Bitcoin community, and what we've been talking about with this stuff, or anything really? No one has any thoughts on it?
Nobody has anything to say.
I'm surprised, because voting is one of the cool things that blockchains offer: the transparency of voting and the delegation of voting, the potential of doing that, and having it so there's real news on what's going on, and it's hard to obfuscate things because of national security, so to speak. I think this is kind of a breaking down of borders in a lot of ways that some people might want to try to control, but you can't control. This stuff is really, really powerful use case. I can't restate it enough.
I have a thing to say about that. It's one of the criteria that I look for when considering a blockchain to invest in. I mean, any blockchains that have a good governance mechanisms, that's the ones to look out for. And that's one of the reasons why I consider Bitcoin or Ethereum, to be so. They might be good for you because people accept them for ICOs or whatever, but that's kind of a thing. When you have implied governance and no real mechanisms to keep people accountable, you have things like, people earlier at the BitShares Hangout talked about how blockchain space is really dangerous because all of this Wild West and scam things, and that's one of the reasons for that is that you don't have a good governance and any sort of accountability mechanics.
Yep. The question, whenever somebody wants you to invest in their ecosystem, that's the big question to me too. Do the people who are entering this ecosystem and paying to enter into it, are they going to have a say? Are they going to have a voice in any way, shape, or form besides just, okay, I give up. This is not what I want. Because there's always if you have that binary decision that, one moment something happens and it's just the end, right? Every chain, every community is going to have something that will make you want to walk away at some point. And if you have no other options, a lot of people will, So you're right. It's highly undervalued. But I think as these chains scale, people are going to realize more and more those chains that have governance are going to be the ones that are going to have, pardon the plug, but they're going to have a steam valve, right? Like that's essentially what it is when you have governance. You have, whenever everything is getting really hectic because of politics and differences in beliefs, to have a process that at least has a semblance of fairness and neutrality, but helps to come to conclusions is an extremely important way to move forward. So I look forward to hearing a little bit more about what your friend has to offer, Crypto Hippie, aka Forrest.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him on Mumble right now, but it's
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. So maybe he'll be in here a little later. But yeah, had a good time chatting with him, and really was happy about. Okay, he says he's in Mumble right now. Let's see.
Yeah, the only problem is if he's in Mumble right now, but he doesn't have his stuff set up, it's going to take time.
Yeah. He's going to be feedback Jimi Hendrix style.
Exactly.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, you can. Everybody can check us out at Peerity.io. We are still selling. We're still selling peer servers. I think we have 2 more left. And then we reach 30, and that'll be it for the year. And so anybody that's interested in that can email me at crypto-hippie@peerity.io. So yeah. Also, we're doing pre-crowd sale tokens right now too. So if people are interested in that, you can join our Discord server, and I will link that here in a second when I take my fingers off of this push to talk button. But yeah, that's only for our Discord members, so you join up there and then
What I like to ask people to do is if you could tell them. Well, I guess you can't do that with the Discord server because it's got the random character string. Okay, fair enough. Please do so. Post that Discord server, and whenever you guys sign up, feel free to post your Discord server there as well. Just want to let everybody know these Hangouts are funded by your upvotes and your re-steams on the Steemit platform. I assure you that everything I get, I'm using to build right now. That I see it as in the future I will have time to appreciate the things the fruits of my labors, but building this stuff is right now the most important thing. So we have some tools that are coming, some amazing things that are going on. I've never given up on them, and I've found amazing people who helped me along the way. So we've got some really good stuff coming, and I just want to say that those of you who are here, you're in a good spot to utilize those tools, and also to please support by upvoting, resteaming, sharing the content of these Hangouts. Because one thing that is going to be extremely important moving forward is that we have the resources in the community to continue pushing forward with things that we feel are important and bringing the tools that are necessary to community builders. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and move on to JP Henderson, who is going to be talking about WhaleShares, but actually he is not here today. So luckily, WhaleShares is my project too. It's one of the projects that it's my design. El Mato from BitShares has helped build the back end, and I've had help with the front end from another person who I just met not too long ago on Steemit, who is working like he's a bad dude. He knows what he's doing. So we've got a good little team forming up about this. But next is going to be the WhaleShares segment of this Hangout, and I will be talking about that. I am Official Fuzzy, obviously, for those of you who do not know, and those of you who are listening to the segment for this. And I am one of the people who's behind the WhaleShares project. I am the founder of it and designed it originally, but that was not enough to bring it to life. I needed to bring people who cared about BitShares and cared about Steem and understood that synergy can exist between them and that they don't have to compete. I needed that special team to join up and kind of help me to get this to have life breathed into it. So now what we have is a service where I can use the Steem power that is delegated to me actually by block trades to create a token, a beta token, for everybody to test out and use. And what we're doing is you use that in BitShares. You send it to the WhaleShares account. It is a WhaleShare token. You send it to the WhaleShares account. And for each one, you're going to get 1% upvote. Now that's going to change with hard fork 19 to 0.25 because voting is going to be 4 times stronger. However, and it's the way that it works. Hard fork 19 is not going to really harm the value of the tokens, but it's going to change how much they're worth. So the people holding tokens today, you're going to get essentially 4 times your votes out of them for a little while. So congratulations. Now, with that said, we pass them out to people who help out in Beyond Bitcoin and in the WhaleShares community. We do have a WhaleShares Discord. I will get that to you at some point in time here during this Hangout, probably toward the end. But with this token, I have currently 289,000 Steem power delegated to behind it. And what this essentially enables me to do is give out about $250,000 a year via upvotes in the Steemit ecosystem. So if you're posting content about what you're doing, or if you're, let's say you're doing something, but you're not posting about it and giving people updates, it's a good idea to consider joining WhaleShares. Let everybody know what you're doing by posting about it. And if it's something that helps our community, I will gladly give you WhaleShares to not only upvote it, but potentially, if you do a good job, you might earn tokens that you can then upvote other projects with that you think might be beneficial. We're building essentially a community based on this token, and it's going to enable other whales will be able to delegate their own SP to it as well. But in the future, we're even going to open it up so other whales can have their own tokens. And I will have my own token backed by my Fuzzy Vest account. But that's going to be a little bit further down the road. But it will open up the ability for Steem power holders to no longer power down their Steem power, to have to worry about, to be able to build things. They can now reward people who post to the Steem blockchain proof of what they're working on and get favor from you in the ecosystem if you're a person who has walked away and risked a lot of value by storing it as steam power in the ecosystem. So if Steam stays the same market cap between both of these tokens at present, without anybody else delegating beyond block trades, between my Fuzzy Vesta token and that token, we will have approximately $500,000 to $600,000 a year that we can pay out to people without ever having to power down. And if you are somebody who is loyal to BTS and the BitShares ecosystem, I urge you to consider maybe delegating some of your SP to the WhaleShares token by delegating some Steam power to the official Fuzzy account. That is the one that upvotes. So with that said, I remember I reached out not too long ago to Dan, and I thanked him for Steam, because it allows me to create DKP, which if you guys were here during all of those times when Dan was here in the very beginning stages of all this, one of the things that before Steam that I believe actually really kind of solidified the idea of Brownies and then Steam after Brownies was found to be a little bit lacking, was that idea of a community token, of DKP, so to speak, that we've talked about so many times. And I said, thank you for helping me create DKP. And he kind of just laughed because he knew that's what I've been wanting to do the entire time. So with that said, I would love ideas. We have about 9 minutes. I can obviously go this entire time, but I would like to open it up for anybody who's interested, anybody who's used WhaleShares, anybody who's interested in using WhaleShares, how we can use it to help benefit Steam and BitShares together. Please feel free to speak up, ask me questions. Are you trying to talk, Custom?
Yeah, I was muted there. If I get a direct link to a comment within a thread, right, would that be able to be upvoted by the whale, or is it just the outer kind of Steam it post itself?
At present, it is just the outer Steam it post, but I'm thinking more. The reason for it was initially because of these Hangouts, and I knew because of these Hangouts that upvoting, like if you get these upvotes, people might abuse them for something that's like a competition, right? These Hangouts are a little bit different, but at the same time, there are ways around that if you're somebody who's creating competitions. But I will say that we're probably going to open it up just because the WhaleShares tokens can also be used as downvoting to downvote things that are abuse. It will cost a little bit, but if people are abusing it as a community, you can use it to come together to kind of negate that, right? That's kind of how we're meant to have it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Another question I had was, you were talking about asking people to delegate their voting power to the WhaleShares account. It'd be really cool if by doing that, the person delegating that power, would get in return WhaleShares that were paid to the WhaleShares account for upvoting. Proportional to how much they delegate. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, we've got plans for that. Actually, that's one of the things that we're thinking about doing. We're thinking about two options, and I'm thinking about providing both of them and seeing what people choose. Because if I have the resources to do it, let's do it and let people choose what they think is best. But we have two options, right? We have the option of giving out to. Oh, wait a second, my apologies. We have. Let me think how I'm going to say this.
No worries, dude.
Oh, okay. So what we're going to do is, I'm sorry about that. What we're going to do is we're going to have the option for you to essentially, have you ever seen whales, the pictures of the whales with the fish that kind of suction onto them and kind of just trail on them?
Yeah, totally.
We're going to have the ability to essentially follow an account and upvote like that coin's account does. So let's say you have 100 coins, you upvote by 30%. If I'm following you, I can have it where I upvote by 30%, or maybe I upvote by 100%, but probably around what you're going to upvote, right? If I'm not planning on being very active as a voter. So this is one way of doing it. But then there's the other way of having whales delegate steam power, which is the way that like you said, I was telling people if you want to do that. And I plan on actually giving out tokens by doing that. One of the things I would like is it would be based on how much you put in, right? As a percentage of the pool. I think it would be really cool if we could do that. But I also definitely want whales to consider making their own tokens. That's the big one. Because when you create your own token, now we'll first have a community token, kind of like the WhaleShares initial token. But then if every whale can have their own token, now everybody has an incentive to become a whale because they never have to power down and they get influence that they can help create more value for people, right? So by doing this, we can create a positive feedback loop, and we can even have whales competing with their coins, right? And let's face it, the competition is helpful. Whether, if I create WhaleShares, but it's not the best token, but people are using the idea, it's helping us all, and it's helping me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking another thing that would be quite cool was I used Streamian for a while, and there was curation trails, I think it was, where basically you trust someone else to vote and you will vote alongside them. I mean, that's another way of supporting WhaleShares without delegating power. So you would earn, some where WhaleShares is being used to upvote an account, you would also back up, but you'd be earning steam, through the curation and stuff.
Can you explain that a little bit more? What do you mean by backup?
All right, so normally if you follow a curator for Streamian, you upvote the same content that he does, and hopefully you get the curation rewards and stuff. So if you were to encourage either delegating voting power or to follow your curation trail, through the WhaleShares account or whatever, then people could either earn WhaleShares or vote alongside you, but be earning steam. But that would be increasing the value of your WhaleShares votes to a degree.
Yeah, without them ever having to delegate directly, which I like that option. I think that'll be the option that most people choose. But I do think that there will be whales, especially the whales. There are a lot of whales here in the BitShares ecosystem who I suspect they are probably very busy on BitShares. They have a whale account and it's kind of inactive. So they might not care either way. I do not mind the option that you're talking about, though. I actually prefer that. But in these early days, I will say that I'm trying to see if we can get more backing to the initial beta WhaleShares token, which is why you have me here. Why you hear me saying what I'm saying about if you have extra steam power, delegate it. But yeah, man, for somebody who's trying to just trail on, that's going to be one of the next steps. It's one of the big ones, man. It's one of the good ones, like you said, because if I follow that and I upvote it as soon as that upvote comes out, I'm right there piling on, and not only am I getting something guaranteed from it, but I'm also adding to that, to the payout, to the total payout. So the value of the coin, if I know that 100 people are going to upvote it along with the whale, that just adds more value without them having to delegate it, right?
Yeah, sure. So there's two options, the full delegation where you give over the voting power, or, following the curation where you still retain, your ability to vote on certain things.
Yeah, I've been talking to the guy who worked on Steam Voter. I'd like to partner with him for it. We can build it ourselves, but I'd hate to add this on without at least giving him the opportunity to come on board with us. You know what I mean? Not try to sink a ship, just merge them.
Yeah, sounds good. I use Steam Voter at the moment. Streamian stopped working for me, so Steam Voter for the win.
Yeah, and it's really cool, and it's a helpful service. The only thing for me is we need to empower humans. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things that it's so easy for us to forget sometimes, especially when we're in the business of letting computers do everything for us to make money. this is the new paradigm, right? The computers are going to do all the work for us because that's what they like to do. That's what they exist to do. That's what they were made to do. So we're going to do that, and we have to also, at the same time, I think it's very important that we always recognize the value of humanity and the things that we can lose if we go too far, and not think about in depth what the consequences of that stuff really are. And bot armies are one of the big ones that our generation has to deal with, right?
Yeah, most certainly. Although they do, hopefully the majority do follow, human rules,
Yeah, we can hope, but we should always verify, which is actually part of my plans with WhaleShares. It's once we have a good community going and we have people who are capable of reading the blockchain and doing analysis on things, we'll be able to find the people who are fudging around in the system and doing things that they shouldn't, and we can out them on the blockchain. Wow, right? And we can pay WhaleShares and other tokens for stuff like that, for abuse, to catch abuse, and there's the potential is limitless. So what I will say, we are about over with this hangout, this part of the hangout, and thank you, Custom Miner, for your questions. I do want to just say we have a WhaleShares Discord server, and I'm going to give you guys that after this. If anybody is currently in there, feel free to give the link, and I'll give you some WhaleShares for doing so. But if nobody does that, I'll go ahead and I'll do it after this.
Virtual Growth already did that.
Oh, thank you, Virtual Growth. Go ahead and PM me on WhaleShares Discord and tell me your BTS address, and I'll send you some tokens. With that said, the way that you get these tokens, you can buy them off of BitShares. I have noticed a few people are selling them. They're selling them at very high prices, though, because, quite frankly, this token is going to be primarily passed out as rewards for competitions. So I plan on doing competitions for logos for friends and people who join Beyond Bitcoin Hangouts. We're going to do a bunch of stuff. We have a bunch of stuff planned, but if you want to be part of this and you want to earn WhaleShares, make sure you're in the WhaleShares Hangouts or Discord. I randomly pop in and give them away to people who are active in there and realize that I'm there and alive when I do so. And we also have competitions to join up and potentially earn a lot of WhaleShares. So with that said, thank you everybody for joining this part of the Hangout, and please feel free to follow me on Steemit at Official Fuzzy, and JP Henderson, aka Walrus, who is one of the amazing guys who's working on pretty much everything in our community behind the scenes while I'm working on some of the higher, the eagle eye stuff. He's down in the dirt doing a lot of the gritty work. So, JP Henderson, I thank you, and I hope that you enjoy your nap wherever you are if you're getting some sleep. And follow him, please, on Steemit, because he has been absolutely amazing. I've needed people who help like him for quite some time and haven't had them, just because we've all been so busy. So please support him in any way you guys can. I can't say that or ask that enough. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next person who is going to be ending this session, and that is going to be Virtual Growth. He'll be talking about Virgrow, evolving giveaways, and traveling to meet people, because he is a traveling man. And I'm sure that you have plenty of stories, but I'll let you go ahead and step up and give the story that you have this week.
Hello, yes, I do. I have all sorts of stuff. Since Consensus, about a month ago, I had 1,000 followers, and now I have 1,358. So things have been pretty crazy. I've been meaning to mention that I was talking to Dan from AppTrade after Consensus. He chased me down when he saw me. I was walking by, and he was hanging out with Ronnie, and I talked to them for a while. And I talked to Danny for the next day. When I came to Vegas, Dan actually came to Vegas. I stayed with him. and they talked about app trade and other things. He's actually working with Open Ledger and been talking about things like that. And I'm going to be meeting up with Ronnie again, and I met him at Consensus as well as many other people. So I met part of AppTrade's team. I'm going to be working with them. I helped them making their market. The APPX warrant token is now available on BitShares as of last Thursday or so, I believe it was. I actually noticed it before some people, which was kind of cool. It was kind of meeting up with them when it happened was interesting too. And I made a post about some of that people can check out. And I'm going to go through a whole bunch of things. Looking forward to Steamfest. People slowly getting into that, which is cool. I'm going to be flying to Portugal then. So I'm working on putting funds aside for that. I also wanted to thank The Prophet. He donated 54 Steam-backed dollars to me. He made a post to donate to me because of my health struggles that I mentioned sometimes. And that is appreciated, and many people appreciate me as well, and I appreciate that too. Then next weekend, I am flying to Missouri for Steamy Summer Party in Kansas City that is being hosted by Stella Bell. I will be talking about Steam gigs, and we'll be talking about other things to whoever is there. And if people want to mention ideas, feel free to throw them at me, and we'll spend some time talking about whatever people want to talk about involving Steam, about Steam gigs. She works with that project as well as me, and surpassing Google is the one who started that, and many of us take an interest to help out with that. Slowly looking for developers. If anyone is interested, feel free to reach out to me, Virtual Growth, or Stella Bell on steemit.chat, or go to the steemit.chat Steam Gigs channel. We're looking for developers to work on that. And the basic idea for Steam Gigs is to be a Fiverr.com and other websites as a way people post gigs or jobs and such, and then you'll be able to actually earn Steam when you do that, and then we can use the Steam so the system will pay for itself. It'll be kind of real amazing. Also, as I mentioned, is Steam Shops is another project I'm working with. That can be checked out on steemit.com and also the Steemit chat channel. So we're working on developing that as well. There's groups for that. Accounts, I mean, Steam Shop Sell, Steam Shop Buy, Steam Shop Escrow. So you'll be able to buy and sell things. So be a kind of point post wants, things you want, things you're selling, and things you can offer to people, which is more of the Steam gig. That way people can offer services, because after all, that's what these platforms are about, is people. People cryptocurrencies, which is kind of an amazing thing. I'll pause for a moment if people have any questions or anything in particular, and then I'll carry on with my other topics.
I have a question. What are your thoughts? You're talking about this new token, and you tend to make a lot of these tokens. What are your thoughts on the idea of BitShares users voting on various projects that create tokens and create worker proposals and say, hey, here's my worker proposal. I'm going to create a token for this job or for this business or something that I want to create, and I would like to ask for this much money over this period of time after milestones are done and things, but in return you will get everybody who's holding BitShares will get their cut of a pool.
That sounds interesting overall. It's definitely a way to interact and vote on things together, which is what it's all about, is the general consensus.
I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts were, because we had a conversation about this in the BitShares Hangout today. And it was obviously, it's an important subject because we have dang near, I would say somewhere around 450 million just sitting aside waiting for projects. So
right, that's huge.
Yeah, so I was finding myself thinking, we could have bought Zapple, all of it, numerous times, like 1,000 times. So these are maybe things that I was just kind of curious your thoughts on it, since you are deep into the decks.
That is a matter of what is the overall benefit. You don't want to buy all of something, but I understand what you mean. We have that potential. So what we really need is a proper think tank to properly think about that in the best interest of everybody. And of course, that would be the largest holders of BitShares, which would make sense because they're the ones who would benefit being the largest investors. And it's knowledge, I presume, as well.
Yeah, thank you for your thoughts on it. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Also, as I mentioned, Steam Prentice actually won 100 WhaleShares through the top 50.
Nice.
Yeah, so I've been one of those people selling some of those. That's what I do with the market making, and I've noticed it is a little high, so I took advantage of that sort of. I'll buy them back when they're cheaper. It only makes sense for me, right? Take care of that before somebody else does. I've been doing that with the APX warrants too. I was the first one. I was actually with Dan when it went live, so that was kind of cool. Somebody wanted to say something? All right, I'll continue. So, Steam Prentice, the Steam token that I have, I'm actually going to do more with that. Someone actually bought 300 of them today out of the blue, which surprised me. That's kind of what I was looking to do in some time. So that Steam Power will be available as a token on BitShares, way to people outside of Steam to potentially invest in it, and maybe we can use it in other ways too. So I'm going to be exploring the Steam Prentice account as a miniature account to continue doing some stuff. Someone need to be muted.
I kicked him.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, hold on 1 second. I'm not on my main account. Can somebody ban Art Center 1? Joey, I think you got. Yeah, because he keeps coming in and then turning back on whenever somebody mutes him. Thank you.
Okay, and continuing on. The other thing I wanted to mention was Virgrow. They finished their ICO a little while ago, and they're working on developing. As a crown holder, I'm looking forward to doing some things with them. One of the things will be a bridge with BitShares with TradeQuick, which is their exchange. I also have VGX, which is available there, which will be equal to Virgrow token. So that will be a way to cross-work the two. And then TradeQuick will eventually work on being a decentralized exchange as well, just like Wave and a few others. But that will be bridged with BitShares because BitUSD makes sense for them. They were originally going to use Steam-backed dollar, which was more of a soft peg, and because it's gone up so much, they kind of skewed the whole idea. So BitUSD will be a better alternative for Virgrow, so they'll be incorporating it into their exchange in the future, which isn't yet, but that's the future, just to mention. Yeah. Then carrying on, I have a bunch of tokens to give away for the past week. From 2 weeks ago, it's about $500 worth. Those will be given away as an idea, just to let people know they're wondering. Just as a summary of what the week total is: 0.6 APPX warrants, 1,000th of a bit gold, 5.5 block, pay 420 BitShares tokens, 0.685 bit silver, 2 BTSR, about 1/20th of an open Ethereum token, 1/10 of an EVTab token, 1 fist pump, about 1/4 of a hero token, about 1/4 of ICOO, about 3 obits, 2 PP bits, 1 open Steam-backed dollar, 26 open Steam, 80 Steam Factory, 1 task manager, 100 trail, about 1 Virgrow. So those are tokens given away to people who participate in my post, voting and leaving their BitShares names to try other tokens to get a feeler for them, or just to try out BitShares as a whole for those interested. And I'll pause again if people have any questions or comments, and I'll continue on some other stuff.
So these are coins that you fund based on your Steam posts, and so as long as people upload the Steam posts, they have a chance of getting these coins too, right?
That is absolutely correct. And then I use part of that towards Virgrow and part of it towards myself to help in other projects for my time.
And I've noticed that your payout. Go ahead and tell, guys.
No, I'm just saying, like, you should make it clear what your username is on Steam, because I think people are losing out if they're not following you. That's for sure. Yep,
and to piggyback on that is exactly what I was going to say before that. Whenever you were starting to say it, unfortunately, I interrupted you because of the lag. But you're doing pretty well. A lot of people are upvoting those posts pretty highly. I know I do, but I know that I'm starting to see some of these posts are going up into the 400 and 500 realm, which is really good to be able to get some tokens from the ecosystem from that, right?
Yeah, it's actually about $200. Well, actually,
yeah,
because that's a dollar amount, but actually that's a Steam. I think that's a Steam-backed follower anyway. But yeah, because part of that, and that's huge. And that also, I use part of those funds for buying and selling and exchanging the different tokens on the BitShares network too. So that helps as a market maker, and that add value to BitShares as well. And again, by doing that, I also get a kickback for those fees as well. So it's a win-win-win in all sorts of places.
See, people could learn from you on this stuff, man. Like, this is something that you're a little machine on, man. So I'm going to say I appreciate it. It's important It's something that we've needed people to be doing for quite some time, and I'm glad to see that people start coming in a decentralized, organic fashion and start filling the roles that need to be filled. And you can see kind of where the value is going now.
Yeah, very much so. It's just tricky. There's a lot of things that you have to understand and know through the different things, and it's a bunch of work to get where I am. Okay, it's a lot of work to really build up a following and get people understand and everything. There's so many little learning curves working between different cryptocurrencies and platforms too. So we just keep pushing for it and helping people learn and get more involved. And I see a question, I'm going to read it, so if anybody else does, feel free to say things.
G Chicken says, does Trade Quick allow deposits and withdrawals of tokens yet?
That is not. That's going to be in development soon. I haven't actually talked to William Banks about that further because they've been busy with their own project of getting everything together. But a couple weekends ago, they had a big meeting for their team. So I look forward to talking to them soon. They were just working out all sorts of things between the Viva project and TradeQuick and so on and so forth with that. And Instructor 21 answered deposit and withdrawals are running, but I believe he was talking about the actual tokens. And Instructor 21 is over there as well. As with a few of us in working in the different ecosystems and cryptocurrencies. Otherwise, I was also going to talk about some other stuff. One sec. Darth Nava, who is going through surgery just a few days ago, had a post. A couple weeks ago, they had a payout approximately of $17,000, which he's getting about $14,000, which is pretty amazing just to help somebody. Looks like he's doing well. His sister is giving updates about it. Either as possibly some type of bacteria. It could be tuberculosis so that's getting looked into and addressed now, which is helpful. And he's struggling. I am fortunate not to struggle as much, but I have a great appreciation to see the community supporting something like that. So I made a post about it and donated 100 Steam-backed dollars myself, and that post raised 57 Steam-backed dollars, which I also contributed when I had meningitis almost 2 years ago. That's bacteria essentially eating the brain, which is not good, and I was on antibacterial treatments for almost 2 weeks, and just very fortunate compared to other people. So I have a great appreciation to see things like that and so on. And thanks to a few people that were large donors, being Ben Jojo, which donated 500 Steam, Exile donated 250 Steam-backed dollars, Sean King donated 200 Steam-backed dollars, and Papa Pepper donated 1,000 Steam. Thank you for his success in Steam and then giving it back, because that's what really kind of these things are, is a gift economy. People talk about attention economy, and some of us, well, it's a gift economy too. We have this ability to gift the cryptocurrency at no expense and at no transaction cost as a bonus. And also, Peter Linso mentions another guy that needs help called Crazy GM. He has posted a post recently, a plea for help. He's actually in Vegas where I am now. The stuff with his legs isn't working well. You can read more about it. I read it earlier. I don't remember the exact details, but he's looking for help as well. And that's what we're good for, is helping out people. And it's a wonderful thing. So anyways, carrying on, I'm going to talk about the Virgrow token. My idea is kind of a decentralized token value-wise. It can be bought, exchanged for different tokens, and that's what I've been doing, and giving it away for free. And because of that, that's people have been giving it away. I've been giving it away, but people are selling it at lower prices because it's free. So that kind of makes it a flexible asset, kind of like our fiat currencies, but that becomes problematic. That's one thing I've always studied for probably about 20 years now. That's kind of this evolution of virtual growth, which started in virtual world with virtual currencies about 10 years ago. So Virgrow currently, in its continuing stages of evolution, now can be exchanged back to me with orders that I am giving. BitShares, US dollars, Chinese yuan, Bitcoin, BlockPay, EveTab, Fistbump, Gold, Golos, ICOO, Obits, Obit warrants, Steam-backed dollars, Steam, Reality, Silver, Salsa, Steam Factory, and a few others. Oh, here they go. Task Manager, Trail, VivaCoin, WingChain, WhaleShares, Yup, Zapple, and Zengold. So that creates more of a trading environment just to trade within itself. And Task Manager and a few others are trading my Virgrow token and Viva Coin and a few others. And I've done this to further increase the synergy. I don't actually have to have my trading bots. I just trade by placing market orders. And I think more of us, to help BitShares grow, that's one of my things to mention, is more of us produce market orders. That will create market depth, which is one of the things that is lacking in helping BitShares. The bots is one thing, but those are triggered automatically. Those aren't orders sitting on the decks, so they order have to be depth. And once they have depth, that shows that more people are invested as well. And I'll pause again if anybody has any questions or feedback or anything else.
I'll say this is one of the main reasons why I bring up what I bring up about you is the organic growth is. Go ahead.
That's actually pretty cool. I'm wondering if there's any chance that we can have William Banks on one of our hangouts.
Yeah, sure. Let me know.
No, I'm asking you if there's any chance that William Banks can come here, because I think that Viva is one of the really cool projects as far as blockchains go and ecosystems, and it synergizes well with BitShares and Steam and everything.
Yeah, reach out to people and invite them. Daniel from Apple, I would talk to as well. Was going to come at one point. He was going to come this Friday, but he was busy. Plus, some people just up different hours, and they're usually up with Open Ledger, which is on the other side of the world, and he has a role over there. So that he hasn't been on since episode 193. I'll see if I can get him back on as well.
Yeah, but he does come on. You're right. He was here whenever they first launched to talk about it. Obviously, it was before the this huge explosion of the market.
Back in the middle of February.
Yeah, but a lot has happened since then. I know that a lot of good things are happening on his front too, so it will be good to hear from him. I know I heard when I talked to him at Consensus, it was a good time hearing all the good stuff that's going on.
Yeah, I ended up meeting up with him and talked to them for the next day after Consensus. We just stayed together. And when I came to Las Vegas last week, just to touch upon that a little further, Dan flew out to Vegas, and we stayed in a hotel room together for a few days, and I met him and a few others in his team and talked with them further and actually listened in on some of their meetings with some of the Open Ledger people and some of their people, which is all pretty interesting. And I've been providing feedback, kind of information and some of my knowledge with them as well to help them do better. And it'll be beneficial to me. I'm actually potentially going to work with them and go to California and go to their office and check them out a little more as well, because I'm always interested in learning about these things, and I'm very interested in learning more about AppTrade. And since they're in California, I can do that.
Yep, and since you are a traveling man, you can go anywhere you need to, and you can see some really cool places. And thanks to the internet, you can always still somehow be here. So it's all perfect kind of amalgamation of different factors that work together pretty well for you, man. I'm glad to hear the updates. Thank you for joining up as you do every week. How do people reach out to you if they want to get in contact with you?
They can reach me as Virtual Growth on Discord, steamit.chat, and some other places. Also, to answer one last question, until a guy asked if Virgrow is planning to pay dividends for holding the token each month. I am actually not planning on doing dividends for two reasons. First, the script isn't available yet. And secondly, for the time, it's not really worth it. And it's better to just reinvest. That's a better growth model. The growth has exploded also because of relationships that I do with some different people and companies that all kind of grow together in value and reinvest in each other. When I did a share drop, cross share drop between Virgrow and Zapple, I'm going to be doing that again with AppTrade. And then sometime in the near future, I'm going to drop Virgrow on AppTrade and AppTrade on Virgrow holders. But I will do share drops if that, to let you know. And that sums it up for me today. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much. And I just want to reiterate kind of what Virgrow and Padalinko were talking about earlier. There are a lot of people who need help out there who are doing who are coming onto Steemit, who are just kind of, they're trying to help out, and they also have some situations. One of the cool things and a historical thing that maybe a lot of people don't know, because not everybody has been here since the earliest days, but Steem is built off of the idea of something called MAS, a mutual aid society. And the whole concept is something that has existed in the BitShares ecosystem for quite some time, when we were talking about the various kinds of DACs, decentralized autonomous communities, corporations, companies, right? Which later got simplified into DAOs. Has really been something that's pretty cool, right? We have the ability, just this very simple use case with Steem, we have this ability to pay and help people who are in need. Obviously, there has to be value produced and things like that, but this model, if changed slightly, could quite possibly be used for insurance. For instance, if everybody signs on to say that they're going to guaranteed buy and power up X amount of insurance power per month.
I think that insurance idea is a great idea, and I've thought about that. We're just lacking the smart contracts to properly implement it.
And not for long, VG.
Yes, I know. Just waiting and thinking more, like all of us.
Yes, sir. So I'm giddy right now, and I've got goosebumps because we've been thinking beyond Bitcoin for so long, and this moment is golden. And with all of and in addition to everything, I now have the tools, thanks to all of you, helping me and trusting me, and not thinking that I was going to take the money and things that you guys gave me and run and just, buy a bunch of stupid crap with it. And I actually have been able to build this thing called WhaleShares. I'm going to be giving out WhaleShares to people who join as guest speakers here. So I would urge you to consider helping the guest speakers here in various ways that they need help, because they might give you some WhaleShares. I am going to continue taking attendance, and I'm probably going to give some BTS at every hangout, based on how much I earn. But I'm going to try to keep powering up these tokens and giving them out to the people who are joining here, to decentralize the power away from myself and into the hands of a bunch of community members who are going to have a shared token that they require to work together to increase the value of. And that's the goal. And I want to say thank you to everybody who's helped us get here. We have a lot farther to go, so I'm not saying that we're there yet. And it's always going to be an evolution, and there's always going to be problems, but how far we have come. Thank you, all of you, for that. And we'll see you next week.
La 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 la.